Okay, let's try this one now and see if this live will work. I'm sorry, I'm just going to share this into the group really quick because we have had some issues today, for sure, with Facebook. And this is exactly why I started the network group, because Facebook has not been playing nice lately. All right, let me see if this is coming through. Let me know if you can hear me when you hop on. I'm so sorry that it's been such a pain. Okay, let's try this one now and see. I can hear me. So I'm so sorry this has been such a pain. Let me share this to the group because I want to make sure that everybody can see it. And then we'll get started and we'll give people some time to find it. Okay. Thank you for putting up with all of the craziness. Facebook is so difficult sometimes. When you think that you have it all set up, you don't. But I'm so glad to see you all. Thank you so much. I'm excited about the challenge this week. I hope that you are too. Let me know in the comments if you've read through day one's task and if it makes sense to you and have you gotten started. I'd love to hear where you're at so far in the challenge. We're going to give people a couple minutes to head over, but I'll let you know right now that tonight I wanted to talk about overcoming some of that anxiety that we get with papers and dealing with some of these more important and scary organizing projects that come up. I also wanted to talk about how to build your action file because you got the day one task email. Hi, Heather. So sorry about that. I'm glad you found me. You got the email this morning saying to build your file and how to build your file, basically. And I just wanted to kind of give you a visual and answer any questions you have of building the file. And then I also wanted to explain how to add in some special tabs and make it your own because we each have our own unique life situations. So I wanted to make sure to help you make that your own actual yeah, just your own. Make it your own. Does that make any sense? And then talk about where to store it as far as where I store mine, the best habits, make it easiest to get used to. Now, if anybody, I think if Ruth, have you hopped on yet? Ruth helps me out with everything. She actually is an assistant of mine, although that's not a good enough word for her because she does so much and she's so smart, she's so technical. But if Ruth, if you've hopped on, can you share this into the Mighty Network, the link that we're on here instead, so that way people can see it. I don't want anybody to miss out on where exactly we're at. I'm gonna actually ask her to do that as well. New live link, I'm typing really fast. Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it. I can't type. All right, there we go. So I see Heather is here and Pauline. Yes, I'm here and I'm audible. Kelly, you can hear me. Fantastic. Paula, yes, she says. And Debbie says that she can hear me. I see Sharon's here. This is so fantastic. Debbie, almost done with day one, taking some time to clean up when I pull the paper away. Ooh, that's always good because sometimes we pull things out of an area and it's really the only chance to dust it and wipe it down. So if there's some areas that you're pulling papers out of, you might as well give it like a really quick wipe. I love to do that as well. Linda, so far all I've done is order the supplies. They came in today. Yay, they're in. I'm excited to hear that. So it sounds like you're all kind of on your way and making it work, creating your own. Brenda, where I am is doing nothing until I see it's a workable system. That's absolutely fine. If you want to just follow along and watch, then not a problem. Do it however it works for you. I see Sherry. Whoop, whoop. Houston, we have liftoff. Yes, we do. Hi, Cheryl. Let's see. I think that I've got everyone. Fantastic. And I see there's a bunch more of you who've hopped on. So let's first start with the easier part, which is going through how to set up your action file and adding special tabs to make it your own. You saw in the email a basic way to get this all set up. And you also got the supply list with some suggested supplies. These are not necessarily the supplies that you need to use. These are my favorites, the ones that I've actually tried out and I use myself or I've used with clients, the brands that I like, examples to show you what to either find in your home that you already have or get your version of. But I'll show you, I actually have two now because I got this super handy dandy one. Last paper challenge, I saw a few people had this type of file holder from, I think it's from 31. Let me do it this way. So I went ahead and I tried it out myself, and this is super cool for, especially if you need to travel, not as in travel out of the house, but travel around the house or to your office. This is super lightweight, not like my other one, and it has a pocket in the front for your supplies versus having to have a zipper pocket on the inside. So I was trying this one out. I do really like it, so I actually added that to the supplies list with the link. If you did like this one, there's different patterns. I went for the like super classic charcoal kind, but you'll see the nice thing is if you do need to use it for something else, it also folds down. So it's got a little bottom that pulls up and it collapses. So I'm really liking this one as well. I added this one in from the last challenge just because I thought it was so cute. So this is one version of how you can do it with your supplies in the front. If you're more mobile, this is nice because it's lightweight. The other one that I've shown you before is my metal one. And my metal one is nice because it's sturdy and it can sit on a tabletop really well, just like the other one, but this one can also hang on the wall. So I've got the link to that one because sometimes you might want to put it near an entryway on the wall instead of on the surface because it's sometimes nice to just get things off of surfaces. And the only downside with this one is in my front pocket, that's where I have to keep all my supplies because it does not have the handy little mesh. So make it your own, whether you want something a little bit more like this and portable and with different patterns, or if you want something like this that can hang on the wall or sit on a tabletop, your choice. Either way, what's important in the action file are the files themselves. And we talked about not adding too many files. I don't want you to have 20 different choices to make whenever papers come in. So the goal of the action file is any paper that comes into your house and all those active papers that are floating around your house right now, but once you've gotten through those, then any paper that comes into your house should, or does, have a spot right in here. If it does not fit in here, then it's either shred or trash, or recycle. Recycle, people. So this handles all of those incoming papers so you don't end up with piles sitting around and stressing you out. I want you to be able to find exactly what you need when you need it. So within here, we start off with our 6 basic categories. There are some where if you don't need them, that's absolutely fine to skip them. There's one that's less common now than when I started working with the system 13 years ago. But our file folders are to-do. So within your to-do folder, the types of papers that you're going to be putting in there, if you have to RSVP for something, if you have a receipt for something to return or you think you might return it, if you want to just write yourself some notes, some reminder notes like I did so that I can't forget what I'm saying. Those types of things, anything that's an action you need to do can live in your to-do folder. So when you come in with your papers, if it's to do, it goes there. I see Andrea joined us. Hi, Andrea, great to see you. I know Andrea provided me the link for the 31 file system for this. She's just absolutely fantastic, and she's the one that introduced me to it. I saw hers, and I had to get one. Next is to pay. Now this is one you may or may not need a to pay folder. I know I don't necessarily have a lot of bills that come in that I pay based on the bill, but I still have a to pay folder because I use it for all of my finances. Oh, thank you for the love. Thanks so much. I use it for all of my financial stuff. So within a to pay folder, not only would you have something like bills, but bank statements. This is a great spot to put your bank statements if you're the type to go through them or reconcile them, not online. You can also put any type of receipts that need to be, expensed, or receipts that need to be reviewed and kept, anything that has to do with finances that you need to do something with besides just file them. So the to pay folder is really good just for financial stuff. But that's one that you can skip if you don't have very many. You could put your to pay items, if there's just a few, in your to do folder. Make it your own, do your thing. To read. Now this is a great one. My to read folder is so handy because there are times where I have to either pick up our stepdaughter from school and wait in the car line. I have to wait at a doctor's office, wait in an airport. I wait in a lot of airports. So my to read folder is one that sometimes I will just grab either the folder itself or everything out of the folder and take it with me, so I can read through the things that I've decided I wanted to read. So the things that go in here, magazines and articles, sometimes I just rip the articles that I want to read out of the magazine and just put those in. And since I have my stapler right in the front of my action file, then I can just staple the article together. And once I've read it, I can recycle it or toss it right then. Or I can decide to bring it back and file it or do something with it. Or I can just throw in the whole magazine, and when the new issue comes in, if I've not read the old one, it was not a high enough priority, I obviously don't have the time for it, so I let the old one go. Or sometimes in my to read, like if an insurance policy or something comes in that I just want to review before filing it, but I don't think there's an action needed, it's just to read, then I will put it in my to read folder. And then once I've read it, if I do find that there's an action I need to do, it can hop over to the to do folder. Things can hop between folders with no problem. So just because you put it in one does not mean, like your regular file cabinet, it's where it kind of stays until it dies. This is a living system. It's going to move and it's going to take new shapes. They're going to hop from folder to folder. I see Wendy is here. Hi. And Ben says, totally an awesome idea for my business. Yes. The reason it's called an action file, all of the labels start with the word to, because they're all the action, the next action that needs to happen with the paper. So within a business, you might have to do, to pay, to file, but you might also have some business categories such as, to respond, or I don't know, every business is different, to enter in bookkeeping versus just to enter everywhere else. To follow up with, if you network a lot, you could throw those business cards with the people that you actually need to follow up with into the file. This is our to enter folder. So inside of a to enter folder, this means you just need the information, not the paper. So a lot of times that could be maybe the return address on an envelope. It might be a business card where you just want to keep maybe your plumber's information and put it into your phone instead of keeping the entire card. Or maybe there's a website that you want to save. Anything where it's just the information on the paper and not the paper itself, and you want to enter that information somewhere else, your to enter folder is a great spot for all of those things to go. It saves a lot of brain work. Also, we'll talk more about the to enter folder later this week. We'll go more in depth into each of these as we're building our system, because I want to give you more tips and more habits and more ideas. But with my to enter, if there's new places that I need to enter something like a password, I need to remember where I am saving my passwords, I have a cheat sheet, my Post-it note that I'll put right inside of my to enter folder that tells me if it's an address, it goes in the iPhone contacts. Passwords I've used in LastPass. Ideas, if I've got some random business idea, which I always have, that I want to share with you, I put it in Evernote. All of these types of things, a recipe, I put it in Dropbox. If I need to enter it, then that reminds me where I've decided to enter things, so I don't end up trying to remember or entering things in multiple places and then they get scattered. We'll talk more about, like I mentioned, the to enter folder later in the week, but that's just kind of my quick tip there. Beth says, yeah, I can see this now. Yay! I'm so glad that you found this, Beth. And Heather says, multitasking while watching, opening old mail. Yay, I never got around to, with my action file next to me, just in case there's anything I need to handle. Awesome. Yes, so this week as you're sorting your papers, stick your action file right next to you. because as you're finding things that are actions, I want you to throw them into the file based on the action that you need to take. So awesome, Heather, you are rocking this. You are like an A student. I love it. Our other folder, to scan, because nowadays we don't need the paper copy of so many things anymore. Sometimes we're just keeping it in case and we will never really refer back to it, or it's very unlikely. You know, maybe utility bills, if you're not already logged in online or don't trust that you'll have access for long enough, scan those utility bills, scan any kind of correspondence, anything that you need to keep, and either that you will refer back to because you don't mind digital, or that you are very unlikely to need to refer back to. If you are a paper lover, then it's okay to scan some things that you are very unlikely, it's not likely that you will need again, because it will save you space. And then you can simply file cabinet for the things that you are likely to need again. And that way, those random times when you need to look something up, you can deal with digital, even if it's not your favorite. You could even print it up because it won't be very often. But they will be out of your way so you can find what you need when you need them. Lighten that file cabinet. So the to scan folder is fantastic. It's if you need to keep the paper and not just enter the information somewhere else. You don't need to do anything with it. It's just to keep, and you want to scan it instead of putting it in your file box. Then to scan is fantastic for that. And in my to scan folder, not only do I use, you know, the various papers, but things like school report cards and school papers are fantastic for this. It's very unlikely that you're going to need all those tests or anything, but if you did need them at the end of the year, then you don't have to worry about having saved them all year. But also photos. So you can just stick a photo right in your to scan folder, and then when you're scanning, you can scan some of your photos that have come in too, which is super handy. And then the last one, my favorite besides the trash and the shredder, to file. So anything that you just need to keep the piece of paper, but you don't have an action, you don't want to scan it, or it's already been scanned and you've written on it that it's been scanned. I actually have a little scanned stamp. Got a stamper. It says scanned, so I'll stamp things as scanned once I've scanned them so I don't have to wonder. But if you've already scanned it, you still need to keep the paper, or you just need to keep the paper, put it into file. I generally do not file anything that's not also been scanned. Just in case something happened, then I always have a backup of my file too, and it's a lot faster to find a paper with a search than it is to open up a file cabinet and dig through papers. So to file, anything that's just to file, that's where it goes. Those are our 6 main categories. So these are the ones that pretty much every action file will start with. And they can handle every single paper. Like I mentioned, when a paper comes in, you walk in with any type of paper from your day. If you happen to have just gone to the dentist, like when I went to the dentist, I brought in all my paperwork and it went right into to scan so that I could scan that paperwork. It never hit a counter. It never hit a surface of any type. It never hit a paper pile. It simply went directly into my action file. And it took me very little thought to get it in there. Now, the reason there are only 6 files is because the more categories you have, the more choices you have to make. If there were 20 choices in here, then your brain would have to engage a lot more. With only 6 choices, and with them all being actions, what is the next step to do with this, that means that you don't have to think hard. I walked in with my dental paperwork and all the mail, and it was an easy process of, okay, what's my next step with this? Oh, I want to scan it. What's my next step with this? And I did that for just whatever mail was in my hand. I shred, actually, we're lucky. We have a 9-year-old whose chore is shredding. So I put in the shred bin anything that needed to be shred from the junk mail. I recycled the other junk mail. Any mail that I did need to keep went into my action file. I did not even need to open the envelopes. If you already know what it is, if it's a bank statement or something, you know what's inside. don't bother to open the envelope, just stick the envelope in the action file. So the goal is for this to be a super fast way to put things so that later you are able to access them and they don't get lost and they don't add to piles. I see Jana says hi. Sorry I'm late. No problem, Jana. I'm glad you could join us. All right, so with the action file, it seems like there's a lot to do, but there isn't. The only ones that you need to worry about are to do and to pay. These are the only ones you have to ever worry about and actually create a habit around. If you don't even have to pay, if you're just putting those random few things in to do, then you only have one that you have to do anything with. The rest, when it gets full, it gets dealt with. So if you have, for example, a to enter folder and you've put things in here, but you've not gotten around to entering them, it's okay. If you need the information and it's not already in your iPhone contacts, then you know where it's at. It's still in the to enter folder because you've not gotten around to entering it yet. So there's only two places it could be. When it gets full, it gets dealt with. The same with the file, to file. When it gets full, it gets filed. There's no need to keep running back and forth or create a habit around specifically this file folder. Whenever there's a decent amount of papers in it, or you simply have time, grab it and go file some things. If you happen to be working in your iPhone contacts, entering something, go ahead and grab your to enter folder and enter those really quick too. There's no habit around those. The only habit you have to actually create is checking your to do and to pay folders. And I just say, pick a day of the week and add it to your calendar or add a reminder on your phone until you've gotten used to it, or tie it to another activity. Maybe every Sunday morning, you like to sit with your coffee out on the patio and read a book for an hour. Great. Maybe after you read for that hour, your new next step of your habit is you quickly look through your to do and to pay and make sure there's nothing important. Doesn't mean you have to do and pay everything in there. It just means you need to eyeball it to make sure that there's nothing important for the next week in there. You might need a couple times a week, depending on what types of items come into your life. So that's your action file. Things can hop between each other. Once you've done something, maybe it moves from to do to scan, because now you're done with it, but you need to scan the paper. That's fine. Maybe after to do, it hops over to enter, because there's some information you want to copy off of it. Heck, maybe it goes from to enter to shred, or from to do to recycle. The only way out of this system is to either hit the file drawer or hit the trash. And trash meaning shred or recycle. Those are the only ways out. So everything that you could possibly need is in here. It can't get lost. That's why I want to focus on this system for the week. So as you're sorting, like I mentioned, and like Heather is doing so wonderfully, stick this right next to you, stick it on the floor or the table right next to you, so that way you can put things in it. You might need a bigger to file folder, or use just a box for your to file if you have a whole lot, or your to scan. As if you've got a lot to sort, it might get really full really fast and be frustrating. Those are the only two that I'd say that maybe just for a massive sort, create two little boxes, one to scan, one to file, just for that sorting process. But after that, this will be all that you need. And then you're all set. Now, Suzanne says, I was late. Can you send the 6 file tiles out? I'm guessing you mean the tabs. Maybe you want to see what the tabs are. And the nice thing is, even if you were late, you can rewind afterwards, or even right now, and go back and view it again. But we have to do, to pay, to read, to enter, to scan, and to file are my main 6. And I encourage you just go ahead and rewind back and see all about the setup. Now, as far as special folders, occasionally, yeah, Suzanne says, sorry, yes, tabs. That's what I thought. Okay, cool, we're on the same page. As far as special tabs, sometimes we have some special ones. Here are a couple of them that I use the most when I'm working with people. So sometimes I just put, if you have a hard type of system versus one with pockets, like I have in the action file supplies link. I think the link is actually in the description of the old Facebook Live. I will repost it in this Facebook Live link. I usually do an empty folder if you don't have that handy mesh thing, and then just some kind of pencil pouch with your supplies in it. And those types of supplies, what I generally have, I have a stapler, I have, pencil, pen, I have Post-its because we don't always want to write directly on the paper. Or sometimes we might have a to-do that's not extremely obvious to our brain when we see the paper again. So if you throw your utility bill in your to-do, then you might need to write a note, call to tell them that there's a tree next to the power line, and that's your reminder. Then you can just use the Post-it note to remind yourself, your brain, why in the world you put it in there. Because if you're like me, sometimes once you've put it in, your brain has now let go of all thought related to it. And then I usually have maybe some little binder clips, and that's it. I don't have a whole lot. If you still pay bills by check, your checkbook is good in there. If you still send things by mail, sometimes some stamps are really good to put in there. Make it your own. All right, so some additional tabs that you can enter if these are things that you use all the time. Oh, thank you, Ruth. I think that Ruth helped me out and posted the link to the action file. That's to this one. So that link goes to there, and then the full action file supplies that I'll post in the description goes to everything. Coupons, if you do a lot of couponing, then it's okay to add an extra folder just for coupons. And then what you can do is when you go to the car or go to the store, just grab your whole file and take it with you. Or take it every once in a while, merge it into your coupon organizer if you have one. So this is one of the few specialty files that I see people needing all the time if they have a lot of coupons. Otherwise, it can just go in your to-do folder. If you enjoy recipes a lot and keep a lot of recipes, I try to do always an action with coupons. There wasn't really a logical action to put with that besides to put in the coupon organizer. So I thought that was kind of awkward maybe to buy. You could do a to buy for coupons. But for recipes, I usually do to try, because really you save a recipe because you want to try it out and see if it's good. So for recipes, maybe a to try folder, and that could also include maybe crafts. If you have instructions for crafts that you want to try out a craft, or a new product that you pulled out of a magazine that you want to try out, anything you want to try, but it can go in here. And then whenever you're looking for something new to eat or try out, you can come to your to try folder, pull it out, try it, and then if you like it, maybe it goes into scan or to file. If you don't like it, then it just hits the trash. So to try for recipes and anything else that you might want to try out is a really handy one if that's something that's big in your life. For me, I don't really do that, so it's not in my action file because it's not big in my life. That can just go in my to-do folder. And then if you have kids, then to mom. A to mom file folder is super handy if you have kids who are coming home from school with permission slips to be signed, progress reports to bring to you, flyers about the bake sale, all the stuff that needs to go to you, even if they bring in the mail and they want to just make sure that you get the mail and they just stick it in the to mom folder, that's fine. And then you can create a habit of checking this every couple days, or whenever they come home and they're doing homework, maybe you check out the to mom folder, and everything is gathered into this one place. So that's a handy one. If you have multiple people in the house, then you can always create a file folder for the other person as well. And let's see, I see, oh, Cheryl mentioned that this is called a fold-in file. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at telling all the information. Cheryl says this is called a fold-in file. So if you're on the 31 website, that's what it's called. Suzanne says, I love that idea about the supply pouch. Yes, I love my supply pouch. I tend to have one in just about every file cabinet or file holder that I have. So in a file cabinet, a lot of times I'll have one of these pouches with file tabs, those plastic tabs and the white, these things. I'll have a bunch of these blank ones in there. So that way it's super fast, and a pen. So I can make quick file folder tabs until I get my label maker out, because it's not always easy to do quickly. Sorry, I just dropped stuff. Thank you for posting the link to the gray action file, the fold-in file. Awesome. So Pauline says, how do you know what to keep and what to get rid of? I've always been told to keep stuff for a certain number of years. That's a really good question, Pauline. And I'm actually not going to go into that today, because I want to spend enough time and give you some resources based on that. Tomorrow, we are going in depth into I believe into the to file folder, but we are talking about what to keep and what to let go of, and all of that decision making. And also what to scan versus what to file, how to decide if you need the paper or not, what to do with your important papers. We're going to talk a little bit about the Spark Life Binder, which that's something that I do sell. It's a digital download where you can create a binder for all of your important papers. It's got kind of fill in the blanks for all of your important information and tells you what to keep where so you don't lose any of it. We'll go really in depth into that tomorrow so that you can kind of really spend the rest of the week living with some of these keep or go decisions. Once you've got this set up, that's when we can finally really dive into what to keep and what to let go of. So I'm not going to answer that in full today, but I will answer that tomorrow during the live. Let's see. I see Heather says that she grabs hers every time she brings in the mail. I only check every few weeks. Laugh out loud and no longer have a pile of incoming mail. Yay. Yay, that's awesome, Heather. You've really been rocking this. I love to hear that. I hear Jana says, coupons to save money. Yes, coupons to save money. Linda, haha. My to try file is a whole other box of stuff to go through again. Yep. Sometimes with me, I know with my to try items, I go through kind of a purge. If I've not tried it after 2 to 3 weeks, then it needs to go, because otherwise it can just build up. So maybe, you know, when something new goes in, the old goes out or something like that, maybe set up a system for every once a month, pull everything out. And if it's not been tried, then it kind of gets on the chopping block. That might help. Brenda, I wouldn't put the coupons into save because then you would have to take the whole folder with you. You wouldn't go shopping. You would want only coupons. Not quite sure what you're talking about putting it into save. I would put them into the coupon folder, and then from the folder, when you're going shopping, I would grab the coupons out and put them in your coupon organizer or whatever you grab for your coupons. So yeah, I would not make a to save folder because coupons would be something you're just creating a place for them to land and not get lost in the shuffle. So that way when you're ready to go shopping, you have a place to grab them out of, or when you're ready to organize them into the coupon holder or make your grocery list, they're all in one place. So that's the only focus of the coupon folder if you do a lot of couponing. Linda. Mary says, hi. Hi, Mary. And Pauline, okay, thanks. Okay, great. Oh, I see, Jana. She meant the label for coupons to save money. Got it. That's an option if you wanted to put it in to save money, or, you know, to buy or to put in the car, things like that. Anything like that, whatever makes sense to you, completely make it your own. As long as it makes sense to you, then that's all that matters. Thank you so much, Jana. Now, another thing that I do sometimes, this one's a little bent up because it got smushed, sorry. This is called a box bottom file folder. So sometimes if you have like a to file folder and you know that you're going to have a whole lot that goes into it, or even a to read, maybe you might want to use a box bottom folder for 1, maybe 2 file folders. They take up a lot of space, so don't use them for all of them. But these are a special type that you can buy from the store. And they have some cardboard on the bottom to keep it kind of a little stiffer, and they just give you that extra space so you can fit more papers in them. That's what I use sometimes if somebody ends up with a lot of things to file or to scan. Then finally, around tax time, or if you have a lot of tax things that come in throughout the year, sometimes I will create a temporary, for me, permanent if you have a lot of them, 2019 tax for this year. If I had, you know, next year it would be 2020. But that way, as some of these tax documents come in, I really like to know exactly where they're at and keep them separate. And this is one of the few that I would add in that's a special one for me, because I have random stuff that comes in. So temporarily, after the first of the year, I usually put this in until April, or until I do my taxes, and then this comes back out. And it just holds anything that has to do with doing my taxes. If you have something special going on, maybe there's a medical condition that you're dealing with and you have to save the papers for that in a special folder separately, or maybe you have a home remodel and a lot of papers for that. Anything that's very special to your life, 1, maybe 2 special project folders are okay. Just again, try not to get too many in there. It will fill up your file really fast. If you have a whole lot, and it'll make your brain think too hard. And the whole point is broad categories so we can make really quick decisions when we come in the door holding that paper. Now, we had the question earlier, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember who asked it. I knew earlier, and I don't remember. But we had the question earlier, where do you put your action file? Where do you store it? The main thing is make it really easy to access. So you'll see, I put in the task email as well as on the supplies page that you don't want a lid on this and you don't want it to be too big, because you want this to be super easy to access and sit in an area that's easy along your current path that you come in with your papers. So I usually I don't do much bigger than this size personally, and I never have a lid. If it comes with a lid, maybe tuck the lid underneath, tuck it somewhere else, throw it away. If you're never gonna use the lid, there's no reason to keep it, toss it. No lids, that it's super easy to just dump things in the folder that they go in so that you can just keep going and not deal with them yet, because we rarely have time to deal with them in the moment. And then this should sit wherever you come in the most with papers. So if you maybe come in through your garage and you pass by the laundry room on the way into the house, maybe it sits on top of the washer. If you come in through the front door, maybe it sits right next to the front door on a small decorative table. If you come in to your kitchen first, and that's where your papers always land because you've usually got too many bags. If you carry a lot of stuff in, the laundry room pass-through might not be logical, but maybe the kitchen counter is, because that's where you tend to dump things. This should go there, because then when you dump your bags, you don't put the papers on the counter. You never let it touch a surface, or otherwise they might never come back, but you stick them into the file folder. So wherever you're already going, this is where it goes. That's why if you need one that hangs on the wall, it's super handy, because maybe next to a garage door on the inside of your house and near the garage, something like that, that's super easy. I've seen people do that. So as they come in with their papers, they just quickly throw it where it goes, and then they don't have to worry about it. I usually also make sure that there's a trash can nearby and at least a to-shred folder or bin or something, if not the actual shredder. Usually the actual shredder is a lot better. So I see Brenda. Okay, I misunderstood too. I thought she wanted a file folder for everything you wanted to save and put coupons in it too. Okay, yeah, good. I'm glad that we're clear. I love the file folders with a side. That way stuff doesn't fall out. Yes, so they have some that have sides that are kind of like an accordion type. If you like those are really helpful. I'm not a fan of them. Sometimes they just kind of get stuck on the sides of the file holder, but some people actually really love them. If you love them, then that makes me super happy. Go for it. That's a good suggestion. All right, and I see Cheryl's here. Hi, Cheryl. Okay, so we have covered how to build it. We've covered the special tabs, and we've covered where to store it. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was getting over some of that paper anxiety, because especially on day one, once you've gathered all of your papers into one place, or if you have too many to gather into one place, once you see and your brain is processing the amount of papers you have, it can be almost paralyzing, sometimes actually paralyzing. Just the anxiety that can wash over you with the task. So I want to give you a few tips to make this not feel quite so massive, and to break it down so that way you can get through it without those panic attacks hitting, because I was not born organized. I was born with extreme trouble getting things together, and papers were my kryptonite. This is why this is one of my favorite systems, because papers had never been something that I dealt with easily. Especially I have ADHD, which really does not help. So something like this helps capture things when my brain is not engaged. So that being said, as you look at your papers, when you look at the piles to sort, or if you have multiple boxes, just do one little bit at a time. So for example, if you have an entire room just full of piles and boxes, you might not want to pull all of them into one area, because that would A, be a lot of work, and B, take up a whole lot of space. And also mentally, it might be overwhelming to see it all in one spot. So what I encourage you to do, if you have an excessive amount of papers for getting through in just 1 week, grab maybe one box, just the most current recent stuff, or the thing that you feel like maybe has the most stuff to do that you want to get through first, the ones that you're worried about the most. So that way, as you're sorting, you can make sure that it gets into your action file. Whatever you feel is calling you the most, grab that box or that pile, or put those papers in a laundry basket, and just bring out that bit at a time and process that. Go through that and sort it into your action file. You're gonna have probably a big to scan and to file, a whole lot of trash and recycle, which is awesome, bunch of shred. But once you're done sorting that container, then go and refill it, or grab another box or another bag, and then bring that out and sort it. So that way you're not looking at this massive pile, you're dealing with one smaller project at a time, so it's less overwhelming. Sometimes, if even that's overwhelming, grab 5 or 10 papers every time you walk past the room, or whenever you have a chance, whenever you have time, just grab a couple of papers to process those really quickly, because we can do that within a couple of minutes. And maybe you might need a maybe folder or a maybe box. Probably a maybe box is what I would do. And that maybe box can be the stuff that you're still not sure about and you want to find out more information before you decide whether it's keep or go, or before you decide if you need to do something with it. Maybe you need to research something more. Maybe you want to wait until day 2 to hear what's to keep and what's to go. So do your first sort. If you know that it's something to keep or something to go ahead and process those, and then create your maybe box, and you'll know what questions you have. And once you've made those decisions and figured out those answers, then you can process those. Because a lot of times we do have a lot of things that we need more information on before we can make our decision. And when you're sorting, you'll probably come across more of those. So hopefully that helps, just taking that one bite at a time. That's basically the cornerstone of everything that I teach. When I teach in my Mind Your Home course, when I teach in my challenges, in the VOP membership group, which is our very organized people, and they get all the extra challenges as well. They get like photos and memorabilia and extra papers, sorting help. And in that membership group, it's all about one bite at a time. As long as you're moving forward, even if it's just a paper a day, you're still moving forward. And even if it's just getting things into your action file and you don't touch any of the other papers yet, that's okay. Just, you're not adding to the problem, you're still moving forward. So encourage yourself, celebrate yourself for what you are doing, and never feel guilty about what you've not done or about what's still to do, because that was the old you. Who cares? Like, the new you is taking care of it right now and doing something. And you should be proud, because there are so many people in the world that aren't. So no guilt, no judging yourself, and just celebrate all of your actions, even the tiniest steps. You totally have this. There is nothing you can do that will end the world with your papers, even though sometimes it feels like it. I'd say 99.99% of the papers, if we did happen to lose it, accidentally shred it, even like a birth certificate, it probably is not going to make a difference in your life. It just might be a little bit more annoying to try to get another copy. I know that I've had to get a copy of my birth certificate from a really small town in Iowa that did not have the best of records back when I was born. So I had to wait a while longer. I had to send a couple of letters. It cost me $25. I didn't die, and I have a copy of a birth certificate now. So just about everything is not a life or death decision. And for those that are, we'll talk about our important information, and I'll talk about what's in the Spark Life Binder, how you can set up your own Spark Life Binder, we'll talk about that later too, and how to manage that important information. So no stress, and feel free to ask questions. So I see, I'm reading through some of the comments. I see Linda says, we file long forms, so I made a hanging folder for taxes several years ago with files labeled medical, dental, W-2 1099, donations, all of her tax ones. And then when time comes around, I can just grab the whole hanging file, go through it, clip the necessary papers to the front, and take it to my tax person. It's been very helpful. Yes. When you're filing taxes, especially if you have something like a business like I have, or more complicated taxes, having those folders where you can just kind of sort into them is super handy. I would put those, we have two file systems basically in our life when you're using an action file. So your action file is where all of the active and incoming papers go. So when it first comes into the house, this is where it hits. And if it does make it into the to file folder, that's when it ends up moving over to the archive file system. So it could be a file cabinet, it could be a file box, wherever you're keeping your papers that you don't have in a specific action currently, then that's your archive system. And that's where your taxes would be. So it's great, the tax paper stuff, all that comes in, it goes in your to file, and then when you go to file it in your archives, you can have a tax section like Linda was talking about. That's a really good idea. And all of the folders for the different categories that your accountant asks for or that you need during tax time. So you can, when you're filing, and because you're not filing as often, so your brain won't be as overwhelmed or stressed out or decide to do it later, you can be putting them right into the folders that they need to go in. Super handy. Thank you, Linda. Hi, Nelda. Nelda just got in from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Welcome. Debbie, I tend to keep everything. How do I know what to keep? All right, Debbie, so like I told Pauline, I'm not going to go into that too much tonight, but tomorrow on day 2, I wanted tonight to make sure that your file gets set up. So that way, as you're sorting things, you have a place for the important stuff, for all the active stuff. Tomorrow night, I will go through how to decide what to keep or go, how to make those decisions. Should it be scanned? Should it be paper? We'll go through all of that so that the rest of the week as you're sorting, you have that information. If you're not positive, feel free to use a maybe box so you can keep moving forward with sorting on the things that you know, and your maybe box is actually going to tell you what types of questions you might have for me. So then you can hop on the live and ask specific questions too, which is fantastic. But tomorrow night, I promise, I will go much more in depth because I don't want to keep everybody on for hours tonight. Suzanne, I have 2 desks that I can't work at because they're loaded. I also have my mom's papers for the last 20 years, boxes, all of that. Yeah, thanks for the encouragement. You're welcome. You are so not alone. I know Jana, who just wrote underneath you, has mentioned she's going through the same situation, having relatives' papers to go through too. She has a to research folder for some of the papers that are at her mom, she says. Let's see. Maybe a tax checklist. I'm just reading through the comments to make sure. I'm loving your comments. These are great. Yes, Paula mentioned to Nelda, thank you. For anybody who joined late, this whole recording will be available, and it'll be available the whole week. So until Sunday night, you can watch this over and over. You can rewind anything that you missed. You are set. Hi, Barbara. I see Barbara joined. Jenny, truth. I love it. Hashtag truth. I cleaned out my tax records and shredded stuff that was over 20 years old. Doesn't that feel good? And then Heather, for encouragement, I'm done sorting all of my old paperwork. Oh my goodness. That is amazing, Heather. I've been procrastinating doing this since last paper clutter challenge because I thought it would take so long, but I got done during Susanna's video. See, what was this? With technical difficulties, probably 45 minutes to an hour, she had all of it done that she'd been procrastinating on. That's amazing. Fantastic, Heather. You just get a total woot woot. I love it. So I hope that this has helped you out. I hope that you can get all of your action files set up. I would love to see what your action file looks like. So if you want to hop over to the Challenge Network group and post a photo of your action file, everybody has so much personality and it just makes me smile. So post a photo of your action file so we can all get ideas from you and celebrate how amazing you are. Also, if you have any questions throughout the week, make sure post them in the group, because not only do I have information that I can share with you, but your group members are pretty awesome. You all are a big, smart group of people. So you can get ideas from all of these people. I hope that helped you out. Suzanne says, so helpful, I'm making that. Fantastic. I am so glad that you could join me tonight. If you have not already hopped over and joined in the Challenge Network, I'm posting a little bit of extra resources, some more mental mindset information. The VOPs get extra downloads, things like that. Just hop on over to myhomechallenges.com and check it out. Make sure to get any extra resources you want, and just comment on each other's posts. Give each other some love, because we're all here to encourage each other. Take it one bite at a time this week, because I know that you are going to do amazing things. And this system can work so well if you just trust and release. So I will see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel at 6:30, but without the technical difficulties. I will be right here for you. If you have any other questions, please let me know. Feel free to comment on this, even if you're watching the replay. I'll watch the comments and I'll try to answer them either in the text comments or on another live, because sometimes they apply to everybody and I want to share it. Thank you so much. You are amazing. Keep taking those baby steps. It's just one bite at a time. No matter how small the bite, you're moving forward, and you're doing so much better than so many other people. I love you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Good night. Thank you.